using the unexpected in fiction writing. Our brains are evolved to respond to the physical environments that we are in. And so we have these different mental faculties, and what the artist can do is, by learning about what these different faculties are, can empower their stories to influence, engage, and have a greater effect on the reader. I think over the centuries we've picked up learning to engage those evolved faculties while telling a story, to make the reader more engaged, to make the audience more interested in the story. It can be the same story, it's only told in a different way. Writing that affects different parts of our mind, and in essence what we're doing is we're imitating reality, but only in that we want to create fiction that engages those parts of our mind that would respond to real situations. So you could write a story that has to do with these ponds of boiling liquid that communicate to each other by bouncing radio waves off these spinning satellites that there are thousands of them up in the sky, and that can be the circumstance of your story. And yet if you tell the story imitating certain qualities of reality, you can greatly engage your audience. I'm not talking about realism, about writing a story where it's about humans in very real life situations. I'm talking about other qualities of reality. The quality I want to talk about is unexpected, the unexpected. So as an exercise, you can just contemplate, the next time you have a little bit of free thought time, contemplate how often in your life things work out exactly as expected, and how do unexpected events occur in your life, and just the fact that nothing is ever completely as expected. Even if you reach your goals, think about the unexpected things that happen. There's the cliche, expect the unexpected. And this describes the real life environment that we live in, and our brains are evolved to deal well in this environment, and it makes us mentally engaged. When we're in an environment where we get a general sense that's to some degree the unexpected is going to happen time and time again, this is where our best mental faculties kick into gear, and this is how we lock onto stories and really enjoy reading them. Now, for every human, there's a real struggle that goes on throughout our lives. There's a constant struggle for making happen in our life what we want to happen, and then the myriad of unexpected things that happen after the fact. As another exercise, the next time you watch a film, try to be aware of that point when something unexpected happens. Pay close attention to what happens in your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Notice how the lights turn on. Notice how you sit up and all of a sudden you're paying twice as much attention to the story as you were before. And that unexpected event could be really small. It could be a new character shows up and really starts messing with sort of what is set up to be the main situation of the story. And the movie Punch Drunk Love, this is a movie that from beginning to end is a journey through the subtle, unexpected events that happen in life, and for that reason it's a very engaging film. Watch that movie and contemplate how everything that happens is just not quite what we were expecting to happen. So let's say you're writing a story and you want to thrill your reader, and you're getting to that point where you want to have the big gunfight or the big exodus, leaving for another country, whatever, one of the major events in the story. Now, before you have that happen, you could have, when you're building towards the tension of that moment, you could have something unexpected happen to confuse and further make anxious your characters. This can build the excitement. This can make it so that the reader, viewer, those evolved ways of thinking that we have click into play, and all of a sudden we're thinking about your story a lot of different ways, the ways that we would be thinking about real life events in order to survive. I find that when I work unexpectedness into my story, there's a struggle that goes on with that, because I know what my story is and I'm just really excited to tell the story, and I know that it's a great story, and as I want to enhance it, it's like, yeah, but this is what I want to have happen. So I recognize that it's sort of like these two goals that are sort of conflicting with each other, and I just take my time and before I actually change the story, I just say, what are some different unexpected things that could happen? How could something, if I have a subplot going on in the story, say there's a relationship, there's a love affair going on as a subplot, how can what is going on in the subplot throw some unexpected factors into the main plot? And if I work with it outside of the story and just brainstorm different unexpected things that can happen, then I can see how it can enrich the story, and I can still have the same thing happen in the story as I did before. But there might be one point where it does a 180 turn and goes off in an unexpected direction, and then finds its way back to what I originally thought the way the story should go. In real life, we have unexpected complications. We have things that get in the way of what we want to achieve. We have things that shouldn't even be getting in our way, that are like, why is that? Why did that show up? It doesn't even have to do with what I'm trying to do, and I still have to deal with that one thing to get to the final goal. Now, this is reality for humans. So this is our brains are evolved to work out these problems, and they are the kinds of problems that engage us the most. There are all kinds of different unexpected types of occurrences. Some of them are just that when the main character goes to stand in that line, it isn't expected that there's going to be a very talkative stranger from out of town who wants to have a very engaged conversation about something that has nothing to do with the main character, nothing to do with the story. It's just kind of like, where did that come from? So when someone says that a movie or story is predictable, what exactly does that mean? For the most part, I think it's when each circumstance of the story as it goes along, it isn't much of a jump to then what happens next. So you have a circumstance where the hero is waiting around the corner with the gun, and the monster is walking down the street, and there's the waiting period, and it gets to the point where the hero leans around the corner and fires and shoots the eye out of the monster. Now, that could be seen as a predictable scenario, but what if, let's go back to the beginning again, and the hero is waiting, for the monster to get within range, but then the hero drops the gun and it falls through the grate and it's down in a puddle on the floor below. Now the circumstances change. Now you're in one circumstance where there are certain things that are likely to happen, but all of a sudden it's a brand new circumstance, and it's like, And then there are a lot of different things that are likely to happen. So the reader is going to want the hero to get the gun back, and you want the reader to want the hero to get the gun back. But you're not going to let the hero get the gun back. The hero is going to have to find some other way to get the monster, and it's going to be in circumstance after circumstance of unexpected events. Even if you stop a reader halfway through reading your story and they can't predict exactly how the rest of the story is going to play out, if there aren't enough unexpected change of circumstances in the story is still going to feel predictable. Don't think about it in a negative sense. Don't think about it, oh, my story's awful because there aren't enough unexpected events. Just think about it as you already have a story worth telling, and you're just using a technique to enhance that story. And if you have a story that is not moment-to-moment unexpected events, don't worry about it. You know, there are a lot of great stories out there that don't make much use of the unexpected. It's a way of enhancing the story that you already have. In my creative work, I noticed that working with the unexpected, this is something I do in the later stages. When I'm conceiving of and creating the story in the first part, it doesn't do me much good to worry too much about it. So how do you do this? Stage 1, write your story and make a point of not worrying about unexpected at all. Just write your story. Don't think about it. Get the first, second draft written. Stage 2, now you can break your story up into scenes, and for each scene, ask yourself, is there going to be an unexpected circumstance, or are there unexpected forces that show up and move my story in a different direction than the way it seemed like it was going? Are there unexpected things I can add to this story? Can I use the subplot to have some veering off from course? Keep in mind that what you're doing is you're trying to engage your reader. The reason you find unexpected things to add to your story, as long as you have an intuitive sense that this is going to be something that'll excite your reader and make your reader pay closer attention to the story. Unexpected events can benefit your protagonist, could get in the way of what your protagonist is trying to do, could make it so that what your protagonist is trying to do can't do what they're trying to do. So they can be both positive and negative, or just neutral. They could just be, something strange and funny that happens while the reader is very involved in getting the story to that next point. So on the deepest level, you have the unexpected changing where the plot goes. So you have it to where the plot is going this way, something unexpected happens, and 180-degree turn, all of a sudden it's a different story, it seems like a different story, and the plot is going in another direction. That is one of the... Now, every story does not have to have this, but it is still worth considering. It's a very effective use of unexpected events. In the movie 2001, you have a space adventurer battling it out with the onboard computer HAL, and that is the whole movement of the plot. But then after that, there is a 180-degree plot turn, and it feels like it is the same story, but then all of a sudden it's a very different story. It's about going into this whole other reality. And this is one of those unexpected turning points that changes the story. It's still one and the same story. It's just that there has been such a great plot change that it feels like it's become a whole different story. You could have the unexpected as superficial as your characters have some unexpected traits, or the location, your locations are unexpected. You, as an exercise, as a journal exercise, you could write down the unexpected things that happen in your life, and try to focus just on that. Try to develop an awareness of the reality of unexpected events, and that the world that we live in is, to a great degree, chaos, meaning there's a certain amount of randomness that occurs, and pay attention to what happens to your mind when those unexpected things happen, the way it engages your mind and makes you more interested in reality. Really, each human is sort of like a story being played out. We have the things we want to get done in our lifetime, and we're kind of going along like a story. And then other people's stories, to greater or lesser degree, don't have to do with our story. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that they have different things that they're trying to do, and so these different stories kind of bump up against each other, and it's sort of like. And this enriches our life experience. This adds so much flavor to what happens in our lives. And a lot of interesting, they're not exactly conflicts. So let's say that we need to go somewhere and get some information from someone, and that someone is like going through a divorce and needing to move out of town or something like that. So their life story, and all of a sudden we have to kind of deal with their life story to a certain extent to continue on with our life story. And this is human reality. So if you have a story, if you're working on a story where, like, let's say that you're working on a fugitive story, well, if that fugitive stays with a family who is very tranquil and just an example of how beautiful family life can be, and so there's this moment of tranquility for this fugitive. This is how the unexpected is constantly interrupting the story of our lives, and this is how you can bring the story you're writing to a whole nother level of engaging the reader. One thing you can do is you can have something very unexpected happen early on in the story. And this makes it so that for the rest of the story, the reader isn't going to be so sure about how your story is going to play out. Let's say that your main character, about a fifth into the story, gets in a bad accident and like loses an arm. And then for the rest of the story, that's going to become a big part of the story. That is a story that is not predictable. That the reader is going to continue on through the other 4/5 of your story a lot less sure and excited about, but much more excited about how the story is going to play out. Another one I recommend watching and watching to look for the unexpected is Mona Lisa, and look at the way that the film is greatly enhanced by the unexpected. It really is a great exercise. Become a searcher for the unexpected. In your life, be an explorer. Go out in your life and start jotting down. Make notes about the unexpected things that happen. What happened with the Boston bombing. Got me thinking about, where was I when 9/11 happened? Where was I when the space shuttle blew up? And how these unexpected events affected lives of the people I knew, and the way it sort of can throw a wrench in our daily lives, in our individual stories. It could be that you go grocery shopping and someone has set a box of cereal up on top of the lettuce. It could be from the trivial and superficial to the very deep, very life-changing forms of unexpectedness. Now, with a little bit of creativity, you can have a lot of fun with this sort of thing. Now, let's say that you have a character in your story who seems to have nothing to do with what the protagonist is trying to do. So this other character is always butting in, always interfering with what the protagonist wants to do. But then 2/3 in, that uninvolved character all of a sudden has something that somehow they can work with what the protagonist is trying to do, and then becomes a key player and a character that the protagonist needs to work with. So there's a lot, you could make up tons of different ways unexpectedness can happen in your story that have never been used before. Okay, here's my I help you, you help me moment. I make these tutorials to get the word out about the illustrated story I'm working on that I'm posting for free at solomation.com, and making these tutorials gives me the chance to ask people, please take the time to check them out, watch them. It's a story called Terrible Immunity. It will be posted in free webisodes. Currently I'm working on episode 5, and when I see the amount of views go up on those webisodes, I get really excited to make more of these tutorials. And also I appreciate you watching these. If please hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and I hope your writing goes great. I hope your storytelling goes great, and have a good day.